Hello, John Hively here. It's May 21st, 2025, Oligarch News. And as I'm sitting here speaking to you, and you may watch this later, but as I'm sitting here speaking to you, the stock market is dumping. And the question is, why is the stock market dumping? It's because the Republicans want to push through a $5 trillion tax cut for the richest, for their benefactors, their billionaire benefactors, bribers, and friends, the richest people in the history of the world, and also probably among the least taxed. And somehow they think some guy who's worth $100 million or $100 billion, they need a tax cut. Hell if I know why, but that's what they're pushing. But the meantime, that's going to be extremely costly to you. You're going to pay for it. And let me show you how. So I'm going to go to the awesome, mighty whiteboard, my high-tech wonder. So, as you can see, I hope you can see, the U.S. debt was $9 trillion in 2009. Total U.S. debt. And now, a mere 16 years later, it's $36 trillion. So it's gone up 400%. And the Republicans are pushing this $5 trillion tax cuts. Amazing. The problem is your U.S. debt, that is this $36 trillion, is tied to consumer debt. So when the interest on U.S. debt goes up, guess what happens to your consumer debt, your mortgage debt, your mortgage interest, your car payment interest, your credit card interest? It all goes up. So what the Republicans are saying, we're going to give a tax cut to the $5 trillion to the wealthy, sending interest rates up for you. And that's what they're doing. So let me explain this. So if you have, pretend this is a U.S. Treasury bond, and say it's a $100 bond, so you pay $100, and then for 10, say, years, and every year the U.S. government pays you 7% interest. Well, say there are 10 people who want to buy this at 7%. Well, now the problem is, you got it. But what happens when all of a sudden your total debt goes from $9 trillion to $36 trillion in 16 years? People begin to wonder about your credit worthiness. That's why Moody's on May 16th, last Friday, downgraded U.S. debt from AAA down to AA1. That's an A, and a 1. So what happens when people begin to think you cannot repay your debt? Well, say you have 0 people all of a sudden who want to buy your $100 bond at 7%. So you have to jack up the interest rate. And when that interest rate goes up, as it did this morning, sending the stock markets down, 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 you have you're also paying higher interest rates, excuse me, on your mortgages, on your car debt, on your credit card payments, whatever you have as debt. So let's take a look at something. So you can see here, Dow tumbles more than 600 points as Treasury yields continue to push higher. Interest rates are pushing higher at the very thought that the Republicans are considering a $5 trillion tax cut to send the U.S. debt trillions of dollars higher. 30-year Treasury yield spikes to 5.07%. A 10-year yield hits 4.8%. As GOP, the Grand Old Party bill, raises deficit concerns. So that's what you've got, is a situation where just on the very thought that Republicans are considering this $5 trillion tax cut is sending your interest rates higher on your mortgages, your car payments, your credit card debt. Just the very thought. Now imagine what happens if they pass this bill. Now let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at who are the billionaires who are going to benefit. One, Elon Musk, right there. He's a Republican. Oh, but look at who's number 2 who's going to benefit. Why, it's It's Mark Zuckerberg, Democrat. Jeff Bezos, Democrat. Larry Ellison, Democrat. I don't know about Bernard Arnault. Warren Buffett, Democrat. But you go on down the list, a lot of these billionaires are Democrats. So it isn't a matter of Republicans versus Democrats. All the Democratic billionaires, all of those Democrats who support the Democratic Party are going to benefit from the Republican tax cuts. All of the Republican Party billionaires, they're going to receive massive benefits from this $5 trillion tax cut too. And there you have it. It's not, and you're going to pay for it with higher interest rates. So you're paying for it. So it's not a case of Democrat grassroots voter versus Republican grassroots voter. It's the grassroots voters of both sides getting screwed over by the billionaires of both sides with this Republican bill. So, what does this mean for you? Before we go into that, besides the higher interest rates and reduced incomes because of higher interest rates, let's take a look at how what's really going to happen to the federal budget with a $5 trillion cutback. We go to the mighty whiteboard again. So understand something. This is a bond. Pretend it's a bond. The U.S. sells this bond and somebody buys it. So the U.S. government owes them $100 because this is a $100 bond. And they're willing to pay them, that whoever owns this bond, 7% interest. But what happens in 10 years when this bond comes due? Or say it's a 3-year bond or a 3-month bond. Yeah, the United States issues 3-month bonds. When they come due, the interest, when the interest is due, it's paid out of tax receipts. The tax money the United States government takes in. But when the bond itself comes due, it has to sell, the U.S. government has to sell another bond. Say this bond comes due, well, it has to sell another bond to pay off this bond. So it's a revolving debt. So you sell a bond to pay off a bond, but you use tax money to pay off the yearly interest.